In an age where things are so complicated, there's a wealth of information out there. Bodybuilding itself has become very, very advanced. But that's not what we're here for. Welcome to Bodybuilding 101, your one-stop shop for everything you need to know when it comes to bodybuilding. Basically the foundation to get you from first going into the gym all the way to competing on stage at the highest level. So what are the first steps for beginners? The first thing is choosing the right gym. If you're a CrossFitter, you go to a CrossFit box. If you're a boxer, you're gonna go to a fighting club, a boxing fighting club. Bodybuilding is the exact same thing. You're not gonna end up in a commercial gym, a Planet Fitness or LA Fitness. If you wanna do this the right way, you've gotta find the right gym. First off, where are the local competitors training in your area? That's the first thing on the list. Second, what is the atmosphere like in that gym? Are most people just there for social media, or are people there to actually work? Third, let's look at the equipment. What kind of equipment do they actually have in that gym? Do they have just the rudimentary basics for a squat, bench, deadlift, and you need to improvise to do every single thing? Or they have a whole arsenal of equipment that you can utilize in order to take your training to the next level?
It's hard to explain, but when you talk about atmosphere in the gym, you know, is everyone around you just like taking selfies or chatting, or are people actively working? You know, Destination has a history of being one of the gyms in Dallas area that has a lot of pro bodybuilders, you know, so it helps, you know, it helps a lot. Everything from the environment, the temperature in the gym, to the ambience, to the machines, even to the music, you know, it all helps. It all helps. Let's get to sit.
So for example, for myself, when I started my journey, I started at a Pollen gym. Is about a 16 square foot facility, not too big, but it had everything that I needed as a competitor or as a starting bodybuilder to take me to the next level. One, we had people who competed in there. Two, the equipment was hand selected to make sure people that competed in there, these were equipment that they actually liked. Three, the atmosphere. Every single person in there was there to do better, to make themselves better. I'm over in Texas now, and I've moved over to Destination Dallas, one of the top gyms in the country for pro bodybuilding and high-level amateur bodybuilders as well. So you need to put yourself in the right environment if you want to exceed in that specific domain. Find people in that place, because as you network, as you train, and as you experience more things, you're gonna learn a lot simply just by being around these people by proximity. Number two, expectations versus reality. You found your nice gym, there's a lot of competitors in there, you're ready to get to work. The expectation is that you want to compete. The reality is you may not look like a competitive bodybuilder. Not in the first 2 months, not in the next 6 months. It's most likely gonna take you maybe 2 years to get there. You're not gonna start training today and you're gonna look like Chris Bumstead or Ronnie Coleman by your 6th week in the gym. That's not how it works.
You have to realize that where you are and where you're starting out, and that it's gonna take a little bit of time for you to get to that point. You know, I'd say in like 6-7 months, you can start to look somewhat decent. You know, if you're first starting out, you get a little bit of chest, you know, abs start to look, and you put on a little bit of muscle. But we're talking about looking like a pro bodybuilder, it's gonna take you a couple of years. You know, you look at the national level stages, most guys that are in first call out to the national level have been competing for over 6 years, you know? So put that in perspective. A lot of the pros that you're seeing on the scene, look at when they started bodybuilding to when they got to the Olympia level. Average lifespan is typically about 10 years. So that's why I say fall in love with the process, because this is a very, very long journey, and delayed gratification is the name of the game when it comes to bodybuilding.
Number three, falling in love with the process. You have a goal that you want to do, you want to compete, or you want to look good, but you have to ultimately fall in love with the process. This coincides with point 2. It's going to take you a long time to see the results that you actually want to see in the gym, which means in order to get there, you're going to have to put in the work, day in, day out. And the best way, my best advice that I could give you is to fall in love with the things that make an actual bodybuilder. Fall in love with the training, right? You come into the gym, you give it your all every single day. Fall in love with the nutrition, cooking your own meals. You're not going out to Wendy's and McDonald's every single weekend or going to a club with your friends. Fall in love with the lifestyle. These are all the things that cumulatively over time is going to drastically change your physique. Number 4, keeping it simple. We live in an age now where there is an abundance of information online on how to train, how to eat, what supplements to take in order to do this and do that. Quite frankly, starting out, throw all that in the garbage. You don't need a PhD to bodybuild. Bodybuilding is not rocket science. You need to do the very basics in order for you to get from point A to point B. I'll tell you this, I'll tell you a little secret. Most top pros in the industry today, if you ask them what they're doing on a day-to-day basis, it's the very simple things, okay? They're training as hard as they can, they're eating very well, and they're doing the business of bodybuilding. No one is making charts and graphs on the most optimal way to train. These guys give it their all in the gym every single day. You think Ronnie Coleman was going with logbooks and figuring out the best way to optimize his set? No, he just slapped the weight on the bar and he lifted and he lifted and he lifted. And that's the best way to get things done. So keep it simple. It's gonna take you very far. Remember, effort is the #1 driving factor for muscular growth. Everything else, nothing matters. Effort is simply the #1. And if you can give your all every single day when you come into the gym, you're going to see the results. Guaranteed, I promise you. Wow.
Good 5. Sloppy 6, 7, but keep working on it. It moved. That's the most important thing, it moved. Effort. And I keep hitting it. Keep hitting it so it gets better. You know, 5 plates. That's the new benchmark.
Number 5, understanding your why. Why are you training? Why did you pick up bodybuilding in the first place? Are you looking to compete in the long run? Or are you simply just looking to improve your body composition, look a little bit better? Or 3, are you just trying to gain more confidence, right? Build yourself up, and that would help you in other aspects of life. Understand your why of why you're actually doing this. The simple reason is because as you continue to go through this journey, you're going to realize at some point that it's very easy to forget why you started this in the first place. You may have achieved a certain level of results that may steer you away from continuing down this path. So you need to understand your why, because that's always just want to bring you back to the core.
I love the feel of a heavy set. I just get the blood rushing, you know? Feels good. Feels good. That's what you gotta fall in love with. That feeling. If my back doesn't grow today, it's fine. But it will grow in 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 4 months, if I keep doing this and I keep chasing this feeling. Food for thought.
When I started bodybuilding, I started pretty early, and my main reasons for doing this, I wanted to compete. I had watched Pump and Iron and seen Arnold, seen those guys in the 70s. I said, wow, I want to look like that. I was a short, scrawny kid. I didn't have a lot of self-confidence, and I just felt that people didn't take me seriously. I'm a combination of every single reason I've put in there as to why I really started. And, you know, that kept me at my goal. My first day I ever went into the gym, I saw a guy benching 135s. So that's about 245 plates, so a 45 plate on each side. And I figured, well, that's what every single guy's doing in here, so I guess I could go ahead and do that. So I get under the bench, I put the 45s, and the bar comes down, and it never went back up. And one of the big guys at the gym, Sanam, we're actually really good friends now. He just got married. He actually had to take the weight off of me and re-rack it. So that'll give you a perspective. You know, we all have very humble beginnings of where we start. And eventually with time, over the next couple of years, I went from just being that person to being one of the strongest guys in the gym and putting on the muscle, and then later on going on to compete. So
when it comes to overcoming intimidation in the gym, I think the most important thing is to remember that everyone that's coming in here is kind of coming in here for their own purpose, to better themselves, you know? And nobody really cares, so to say. You're always gonna feel like people are watching you, people are judging you. But again, remember why you're coming here, why you're coming to do this, you know? There's always the people that are there today that are seeing you on the start of your journey that you think are judging you are the same people that are going to be there to raise your hand and triumph when you've succeeded, right? You've lost 50 pounds or you've done your first show. They watched your journey from day one all the way to that finale. And if there's something that brings us all together, it's work. People respect hard work. So don't worry about that. Focus on why you're coming here. And at the end of the day, no one really cares.
So with everything I've said today, the most important thing you need to remember out of this video, if you don't remember anything I said, remember this: showing up every single day is the most important thing. If you're able to stay consistent, you show up on the good days, you show up on the bad days, and you get what you need to do done, you are going to experience a wonderful, wonderful bodybuilding journey as you go through. I wish you guys good luck.